What if I told you that everything you thought you knew about, like, human history is wrong? What if the rise of humanity wasn't about us conquering nature,
Okay.
but about being outsmarted by, like, a stalk of wheat? Ready to have your mind blown?
I'm ready.
Today we're diving into Yuval Noah Harari's Sapiens, a brief history of humankind,
All right.
to uncover the surprising truth about our species. And trust me,
Yeah.
you will look at a loaf of bread the same way again.
That's a good one. It's true. Harari challenges many of our assumptions about human progress. He argues that what we often perceive as triumphs, like the agricultural revolution, may actually have been traps that fundamentally reshaped our lives, and not always for the better.
Yeah, it's like we think we're so clever,
Right.
but maybe we were just pawns in Wheat's grand plan for,
Global domination.
yeah, global domination.
Mhm.
Okay, I might be oversimplifying a bit,
A little bit.
but stick with me here. Before we get into all that, we need to go back, way back, to the very beginning of the Sapiens story.
So picture this. It's Africa
Okay.
millions of years ago. Homo sapiens, that's us. We're just another insignificant animal scurrying around trying to survive.
Yeah.
Not exactly masters of the universe, right?
Hardly. But then, around 70,000 years ago,
Yeah.
something incredible happened. The cognitive revolution. It's like Sapiens suddenly got a software upgrade,
Right.
and things were never the same.
Never the same. Harari argues that the key to this revolution was our development of language. And not just any language. He says our ability to communicate about things that don't actually exist is what sets us apart from every other species on Earth.
Okay, let's unpack this imagined realities thing, because it sounds kind of trippy.
Right.
You're saying things like money, corporations,
Right.
even nations are just stories we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
But they have real power, right? They do. So how does that work?
Think about it this way. A dollar bill is just a piece of paper, right? It has no inherent value. But because we all believe it has value,
Right.
we can use it to exchange goods and services.
Yeah.
That shared belief is an imagined reality, and it's incredibly powerful.
Whoa. So it's like we collectively hypnotize ourselves into believing in money, laws, gods,
Yeah.
even corporations.
Yes.
And by the way, if your mind is as blown as mine right now,
Yeah.
make sure you hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. You won't want to miss the rest of this deep dive.
No, you won't?
Okay, so back to these imagined realities.
Okay.
You're saying that they're crucial for building large-scale societies.
They are crucial. They give us a sense of shared identity and purpose,
Okay.
alluring us to cooperate in ways that no other animal can.
So instead of relying on instinct or brute force, we use stories to create these complex social structures.
Exactly.
Like our
Well,
storytelling brains are the foundation of human civilization. Okay. And this ability to believe in fictions, this is what allowed us to organize ourselves on a massive scale,
yes.
eventually leading to the rise of empires and global trade.
That's right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it also sounds a little dangerous.
It does.
If we can convince ourselves to believe in anything,
Yes.
couldn't that lead to all sorts of problems?
Yeah.
Like, what's to stop someone from creating a really bad imagined reality?
That's the paradox of human progress, isn't it? These imagined orders can be used for good or evil.
Right.
They can unite us or divide us. It all depends on the specific content of the stories we choose to believe.
So it's not just about telling stories.
Right.
It's about being critical of those stories, making sure they serve everyone,
Yes.
not just a select few.
Absolutely.
That's a pretty big responsibility.
It is a big responsibility.
Yeah.
And it's something we need to be constantly aware of as we continue to shape our world with these powerful narratives.
Well, with that in mind, let's fast forward a bit to one of the most pivotal moments in human history, the agricultural revolution.
Okay.
It's always presented as this huge leap forward, but Harari makes you wonder if we actually stumbled into a trap.
He does challenge the traditional narrative of progress.
Okay.
He argues that while agriculture led to population growth and the development of settled societies, it also came with a whole host of downsides.
Okay, so instead of roaming free and foraging for food,
Yeah,
we're suddenly toiling in the fields from dawn till dusk,
right.
eating the same starchy grains day after day, living in crowded villages, just ripe for disease outbreaks.
Yeah.
Not exactly the picture of a carefree life.
Not quite. Harari suggests that it wasn't so much humans domesticating plants like wheat,
Right.
but wheat domesticating us.
Oh, okay.
We became dependent on a few staple crops, which fundamentally changed our lifestyles and our relationship with the natural world.
So we're back to that idea of wheat being the mastermind behind human history. It's like we thought we were in charge,
It's a good way to put it.
but maybe we were just playing into its grand scheme.
Right.
And that brings up another point that Harari makes,
Sure.
our impact on the planet. You're saying this started long before the Industrial Revolution.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Long before factories and cars, sapiens were already leaving a significant mark on the environment.
Okay.
We spread across the globe with incredible speed,
Right.
encountering new ecosystems
Yeah.
and often disrupting them in the process.
It's like that whole noble savage myth goes out the window.
Okay.
We weren't just living in harmony with nature.
Right.
We were already changing it,
Yeah.
often in ways that weren't sustainable.
Yeah.
I mean, remember that whole thing about the overkill hypothesis?
Yeah, the idea that early humans were responsible for wiping out entire populations of large animals.
Oh, right. Like mammoths, giant sloths.
Exactly.
Our ancestors were pretty efficient hunters, maybe a little too efficient.
Yeah, maybe a little too efficient.
It's a sobering reminder that sapiens have been a force of nature for a long time, and not always a benevolent one.
Definitely.
It's a crucial perspective to keep in mind as we grapple with the environmental challenges that we face today. Our impact on the planet has deep roots,
Deep roots.
going back tens of thousands of years.
That's right.
We've gone from insignificant primates to planet-shaping forces,
have.
all thanks to our ability to believe in
Shared fictions.
shared fictions, right? It's a pretty remarkable story,
It is.
but also a little terrifying. And before we get into the really mind-blowing stuff like the future of humanity and the potential rise of artificial intelligence, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more deep dives like this one. You won't want to miss what's coming next.
It's gonna be good.
Now, where were we? Ah, yes, empires
Okay.
and those imagined orders that hold them together. It's mind-boggling to think that a bunch of hairless apes managed to create these vast, complex societies without, like, a built-in instinct for mass cooperation.
Yeah, it is remarkable.
Yeah.
But as we've been discussing, Harari argues that the key to our success lies in those shared myths and beliefs, those imagined orders that give us a sense of belonging and purpose,
Right.
even when we're surrounded by strangers.
So it's not just about raw power or even shared genes.
No.
It's about believing in the same story. Like, we're all Romans, so let's conquer this territory and build an empire.
Exactly. Those narratives create a sense of shared identity
Right.
and purpose that enables people to work together towards common goals. It's that double-edged sword again.
Right.
They allow for incredible feats of cooperation,
Uh-huh.
but they can also be used to exploit and oppress.
Yeah.
It all depends on the content of the stories we choose to believe.
So we have to be really careful about the stories we tell ourselves.
We do.
And make sure they're leading us in the right direction. Speaking of stories that shape our world,
Okay.
let's talk about money. It's something we all use every day.
Yeah.
But when you really think about it, it's kind of a strange concept.
It is.
Wait, what is money, really?
It's a fascinating concept when you really break it down.
Yeah.
Money doesn't exist objectively.
Hmm.
It's just a symbol that we've imbued with meaning.
Yeah. I mean, what's a dollar bill, really?
Yeah.
A piece of paper with a picture of a dead president on it.
Right.
But we all agree to pretend it's valuable.
Right.
And suddenly, we can build skyscrapers and buy things from all over the world. It's kind of like a magic trick.
It is. It's a shared illusion, and it's incredibly powerful because it allows us to exchange goods and services across vast distances and complex social networks.
Right.
It requires a huge amount of trust, not in any particular person, but in the system itself.
So money is basically the glue that holds human civilization together.
You could say that.
Okay.
It's the lubricant that allows complex economic systems to function smoothly.
Uh-huh.
But as with any powerful tool, there are potential downsides.
Like what?
Well, Harari argues that when everything becomes convertible
Okay.
and when trust is based on anonymous symbols,
Mm-hmm.
it can erode traditional values and human connections.
So it's like money makes the world go round, but it can also make us forget what really matters.
Exactly. It can create a world where everything is for sale
Oh,
and
yeah.
where human relationships are reduced to economic transactions.
That's a pretty sobering thought. It's like we're constantly walking this tightrope between progress and its unintended consequences.
Mm.
And speaking of progress, let's move on to another major turning point in human history. The scientific revolution. Now, obviously, science has brought about incredible advancements,
Of course.
but things get a little complicated
they do.
when science meets empire.
The relationship between the scientific revolution and European imperialism
Right.
is complex and often overlooked.
Because those empires needed science to conquer new territories
That's right.
and exploit resources.
Exactly.
And science needed those empires for funding and global reach.
Yes.
It was a match made in, well,
Right.
maybe not heaven,
Not heaven.
but a very powerful alliance nonetheless.
Absolutely.
It was a relationship that brought about incredible discoveries,
It did.
but also had devastating consequences for many people and cultures around the world.
Yeah. To illustrate this, Harari brings up the story of Captain James Cook.
Oh, yeah, Captain Cook.
Yeah.
He was a brilliant explorer and navigator who, thanks to his understanding of science, was able to prevent scurvy on his ships.
Exactly. But he was also an agent of the British Empire. His voyages were both scientific and imperialistic.
Yeah.
He made groundbreaking discoveries.
Yeah.
But he also claimed vast territories for the British crown,
Right.
often with tragic consequences for indigenous populations.
Like what happened in Tasmania, where European settlers wiped out the entire indigenous population within a century of Cook's arrival.
A tragic example.
It's a stark reminder that scientific progress doesn't always translate into moral progress.
Absolutely. Cook's story highlights the ethical complexities of scientific exploration and the need to consider the potential consequences
Right.
of our discoveries.
It's like we're constantly grappling with this tension between our desire to understand the world
Right.
and our responsibility to use that knowledge wisely.
And speaking of complex systems with both positive and negative potential, let's talk about capitalism. It's a system that has undeniably generated immense wealth.
It has.
And fueled incredible innovation.
Incredible innovation.
But is it truly a win-win system, as its proponents claim?
Or is it a zero-sum game where someone always loses?
Yeah.
What does Harari have to say about that?
Well, he delves into the core principles of capitalism,
Okay.
highlighting the importance of credit, reinvestment,
Right.
and the pursuit of economic growth.
It's that whole idea that growth is the ultimate goal, right?
Yes.
That we need to constantly be producing and consuming more to keep the engine of capitalism running.
Exactly. But Harari also points out that this relentless pursuit of growth often comes at a cost,
Right.
both to the environment and to those who are exploited by the system.
So there's this inherent tension within capitalism
Yes.
between the drive for profit and the well-being of people and the planet.
Absolutely. And it's a tension that we need to address if we want to create a more sustainable and equitable future.
This is heavy stuff. We've covered a lot of ground already, from the cognitive revolution to the rise of empires, the power of money,
A lot.
and the complexities of capitalism. And believe it or not, we're just getting started. In the next part of our deep dive, we're going to explore some even more mind-blowing concepts. The future of humanity, the potential for artificial intelligence,
Right.
and the possibility of transcending our biological limits.
It's going to get wild. Buckle up.
But before we head into that uncharted territory, we want to remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more thought-provoking deep dives like this one. And if you're finding this conversation as fascinating as we are, please give us a like and leave a comment below. We love hearing from you.
We'll be back after a very brief pause to delve into the future of Homo sapiens.
Actually, there's no break today. We're diving straight into the deep end of the future.
Right. So, as I was saying, buckle up. We're going to explore some seriously wild possibilities. Get ready to have your mind stretched. Harari doesn't just leave us with a picture of our complicated past. He takes us on a journey into the future, exploring the possibilities of how we might fundamentally change what it means to be human.
And this is where it gets really interesting. He's talking about actually rewriting the laws of life.
Right.
Like stuff that used to be science fiction is now becoming a real possibility. What are some of the paths he lays out?
He talks about three main paths to altering life as we know it. The first is biological engineering. Think designer babies, enhanced soldiers, maybe even immortality.
Hold on. I need a minute to process this.
Yeah.
We could potentially eradicate diseases, boost our intelligence, even live forever. It's like we're hitting the fast forward button on evolution.
That's the promise, but it also raises some serious ethical questions, right?
Yeah.
Who gets to decide what counts as an improvement? What happens to the idea of natural selection? And what if these technologies only benefit the wealthy and powerful?
It's like opening Pandora's box of biological possibilities, and we're not sure what's going to fly out. And that's just biological engineering.
Right.
Harari also talks about cyborg engineering, merging humans with machines. Now, that's some serious cyberpunk stuff.
We're already cyborgs in a sense, right? With our smartphones and computers becoming extensions of ourselves.
Right.
But Harari envisions a future where our minds and bodies are directly integrated with technology. Imagine having superhuman strength,
Okay.
instant access to information,
Yeah.
maybe even the ability to upload our consciousness into a digital world.
Okay. Now we're getting into some Matrix level stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it also raises those big philosophical questions.
It does.
Like, what does it even mean to be human in a world where the line between flesh and machine is blurred?
It's a fundamental shift in our understanding of ourselves, and it forces us to confront what makes us unique.
Okay.
Our creativity, our emotions, our consciousness.
Right. Because if we can enhance those things with technology, are we still fundamentally human?
Right.
Or are we becoming something entirely new?
These are the kinds of questions Harari wants us to grapple with.
Okay.
And just when you think it can't get any more mind-blowing, he throws in another curveball, creating inorganic life.
Wait, are we talking about artificial intelligence here?
Yeah.
Like not just machines that can do tasks, but machines that can actually think for themselves.
Exactly. Harari says this isn't just about building a better calculator, it's about the possibility of creating entities with consciousness.
Right.
And the ability to learn and evolve independently.
That's some next level stuff. It challenges everything we thought we knew about ourselves and our place in the universe. We think we're so special with our big brains and all.
Yeah.
But what if we're just a stepping stone to something even more complex and intelligent?
It's both exhilarating and terrifying to consider.
Yeah.
Right? And it raises profound questions about the future of life on Earth. Will humans remain the dominant species? Or will we become the parents of a new kind of intelligence?
Right.
One that might surpass us in ways we can't even imagine.
It's almost like we're at a crossroads in history.
Yeah.
And we have to decide what kind of future we want to create.
Exactly. Do we embrace these new technologies and risk transforming ourselves into something we no longer recognize? Or do we try to hold on to our humanity, even as the world around us changes at an accelerating pace?
These are huge questions, and there are no easy answers.
Right.
But I think it's important that we're having these conversations now before these technologies become so advanced that they're beyond our control.
Absolutely. And that's one of the main points Harari makes in Sapiens.
Okay.
We're not just passive observers in this process. We have the power to shape the future,
Right.
even as we grapple with these incredible new possibilities.
So it's not about predicting the future, but about creating it.
Exactly.
About making conscious choices about what kind of world we want to live in.
Exactly. And that brings us back to those fundamental questions. What responsibilities do we have to the future? And who gets to decide what that future looks like?
It's a heavy responsibility, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not just talking about the next iPhone release here. We're talking about potentially altering the course of life on Earth.
It's a responsibility that requires careful consideration, ethical awareness, and a willingness to engage in open and honest dialogue about the implications of these technologies.
Yeah.
We need to move beyond the hype and the fear
Okay.
and start thinking critically about the values we want to guide us as we navigate this uncharted territory.
I love that. Moving beyond the hype and the fear.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to get caught up in the excitement of new gadgets or get swept away by, doomsday scenario about robots taking over the world.
Yeah.
But I think the real challenge is to find that middle ground to approach these possibilities with both optimism and caution.
It's about recognizing that we're not just creating new technologies, we're creating new worlds.
Right.
And those worlds will be shaped by the values we bring to the table.
So if we want a future that's both prosperous and just both technologically advanced and ethically grounded, we need to start having those conversations now.
Yeah.
We need to ask ourselves, what kind of future do we want
Right.
for ourselves, for our children, and for all life on this planet?
It's a conversation that needs to involve everyone, not just scientists, engineers, and politicians.
Right.
We all have a stake in shaping the future.
Because ultimately, as Harari reminds us, history isn't just something that happens to us.
Right.
It's something we create. We're not just the inheritors of the past.
Yeah.
We're the architects of the future.
And that's a powerful thought to leave our listeners with. The future is not predetermined. It's a blank canvas waiting for us to paint our vision upon it. But we need to do so with wisdom, compassion, and a deep sense of responsibility for the world we're creating.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive into Sapiens. We hope you've enjoyed this journey through human history
Yeah.
and found some food for thought about the possibilities and challenges that lie ahead. If you're interested in exploring these ideas further, we highly recommend picking up a copy of Harari's book. It's a mind-expanding read that will challenge your assumptions and broaden your horizons. And if you're looking for more deep dives on a wide range of topics, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We release new episodes every week, exploring everything from the latest scientific discoveries to the big questions about the meaning of life.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
And remember, the future is in our hands.
It is.
Let's make it a good one. It's almost overwhelming to think about all these potential futures swirling around us.
It is a lot to process. Yeah, we've gone from foraging for berries to potentially engineering our own evolution.
I know.
It's a dizzying leap.
And it's not like these three paths, biological engineering, cyborgs, AI, are mutually exclusive.
Right. They could all happen at the same time,
Yeah.
weaving together in ways we can't even fathom.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Imagine a world with genetically modified humans, augmented with technology, coexisting alongside artificial intelligence.
Oh.
It's a future with both incredible potential and unprecedented risks.
That's what keeps coming back to me. Harari doesn't shy away from the potential downsides. He highlights the risks of inequality.
He does.
The ethical dilemmas, the
Yeah.
existential questions. It'd be easy to get swept up in techno-optimism.
Right.
But he keeps reminding us that progress isn't always a straight line.
And that's what makes Sapiens such a valuable read, right? It's not just a history book.
Right.
It's a roadmap for navigating the complexities of the future.
Okay.
A future where we have the power to shape not just our own destiny, but the fate of all life on Earth.
It all circles back to those fundamental questions.
It does.
What responsibilities do we have to the future? And who gets to decide what that future looks like?
Big questions.
Those aren't just abstract philosophical questions anymore. They're
Right.
urgent practical concerns.
They are. And they require us to think deeply about the values we want to guide our decisions.
Right.
Do we prioritize individual freedom or collective well-being?
Yeah.
Do we embrace technological progress at all costs? Or do we proceed with caution, mindful of the potential consequences?
It's a lot of pressure, right? It's like we're holding the steering wheel of human evolution.
It is a lot of pressure.
And we're not even sure where we're going.
And the map keeps changing.
Right. But one thing's for sure. We can't just sit back and let things happen. We have to be active participants in shaping the future we want.
I think that's the biggest takeaway from Sapiens. We're not just the products of our past. We're the architects of our future. And that's a powerful, even daunting realization.
Yeah.
But it's also incredibly liberating. It means we have choice. We have agency.
So it's not about predicting the future.
No.
It's about creating it. It's about making conscious, ethical choices that reflect the kind of world we want to live in.
Exactly. And that requires us to engage in open and honest dialogue with each other, to grapple with these complex issues, to challenge our assumptions, and to be willing to change our minds.
Right.
The future is not preordained. It's a canvas waiting for us to paint our vision upon it.
Beautifully put. Well, I think we've given our listeners a lot to chew on today. From the humble beginnings of Homo sapiens to the potential for rewriting the laws of life.
We've covered a lot.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. And we hope this deep dive into Sapiens has sparked some curiosity, some critical thinking, and maybe even some hope. Because ultimately, despite all the challenges we face, the future is still unwritten.
Right.
And that's a pretty exciting thought.
It is. So to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. The future is waiting. Let's make it a good one.